Just because you can do something. Doesn't mean you necessarily should do it. It's been too long, and since I've cast stuff, and I made some stupid rookie mistakes. We're going to show them to you today. Y'all will seem to love when I show you my mistakes, so here we go. So I was looking at the internet. My daughter's birthday is, at the time I'm filming this, tomorrow. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow. Time you see it, who knows when my daughter's birthday was. But I was looking on the internet. I was trying to find some kind of a heart-shaped thing, just get some ideas of things. And I came across a picture of a heart that I kind of liked. The idea was it actually sat on a desk, kind of like so. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of a cool desk thing to have, sit there. And I thought, well, I'll go ahead and be really smart, and I'll put some really tiny, 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 tiny letters on the back side. Mistake number one. And I went ahead and modeled it up. As you can see, I modeled it. I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. Printed it, made the pattern, pretty decent pattern. Here's first another mistake. There is like zero draft on this outside edge here. This is an exact 90 here. And yeah, those you really kind of have to wrap them side to side to get something like that to release. So that was one mistake. I'll show you some others as we move through the casting. Another biggie is, and I'm sure I haven't done the voiceover yet, but I'm sure that I'll talk about the fact that I cast this thing in the cope, and just because I can, wasn't necessarily the right thing to do for this part. So anyway, let's go ahead and I'll take you to the casting, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the finished part. And yeah, it still turned out okay. Well, this can't all be mistakes. So my sand actually looks really, really good here. It's just about the right moisture. You can see it looks really dry, and it's got enough moisture that it's going to ram well. So number one good thing that happened. There aren't very many of them, but this is one of the things. We'll see here, even though it looks really dry, it will actually ram up really tight. In fact, there's a piece sticking right there to the bottom of my ramming tool, but it will ram pretty tight. I've been watching Clark Easterling's videos over at Windy Hill Foundry. And, he made a comment in one of the videos I just watched about it's not about ramming hard. It's more about ramming enough or long enough kind of thing. And so I took that to this time and just kind of just rammed it gently, but I rammed it enough times that it really actually packed in there pretty tight, and it actually did. I mean, it packed in there nice and hard. Okay, so we got the runner and spin trap pattern rammed up into the drag, and now we're going to place the pattern in. Now, what I'm doing here is I've rammed up a false drag because I'm going to tear all that apart and I'm going to ram it up again, simply to get those letters that you just saw me flash by there. So here's my little tiny sprue, which I kind of like because it fits down right at the level of the top of my cope, so that I can actually turn the cope over with the sprue in there. Although I didn't need to do it this time. I really should have done it this time. We got our gate in there now, so we're going to ram up the pattern, the gate, and the sprue, and the top half of the spin trap in the cope, and that'll be done once, and we'll be done. And you can see this is actually coming through. So that sand is just flowing through there. I got to remember to make it this dry every time. It really was just nice, and the finish was really nice too. And so while this is happening, I'm going to talk about why I rammed this heart up in here the way I did. You saw that I put it's kind of got a diagonal cut across it. It's basically a 90 degree on one edge and then 45 on the other two corners, 45 degrees. And I thought if I rammed it this way, if I rammed it face up in the cope, that the shrinkage that would occur actually be minimized, and maybe I was thinking like an idiot. I wouldn't have any shrinkage. I do have shrinkage in this part. It wasn't horrible, but it was enough that it was a pain to deal with, and it happened on the face of the part, which is exactly where I didn't want it to happen. Got to keep track of that little sprue there. Otherwise, I'll drive it right down through the bottom of the drag. We'll go ahead and cut in our offset pouring basin and get you'll see that the sand, I probably didn't get this rammed quite enough because you see it kind of break apart there and breaks around the edges, but it was all right. And you see a bunch broke out there just with the air. Now I actually had the air on a little bit, not a little bit, way too high. Air pressure was way too high. I turned it down here after a while. I realized that normally I run it at about 4 pounds, 4 psi, and it was probably 20. All right, here's a mistake. I'm going to go ahead and pull the sprue. And I probably should have done this after I got everything else pulled out of the mold. But I pulled the sprue here and cut my basin. The reason this is a problem is I'm going to have to actually put it back in there again. And as for those of you that are purists on the tapered sprue, sticking that sprue back down there isn't a great thing because it's just going to cause a deformation or a deformity in the sprue itself. And so, I shouldn't have done that, but I pulled it. Okay. I shouldn't have cast it in the cope. that was the root of all my problems. All right, so we got a rough basin cut in there now, and we're going to go ahead and pull the vent out of the top of the spin trap. And this isn't as critical because I'm not going to. Well, first of all, I'm not going to shove it back down in there, but I was able to find the hole again after the fact. All right, so there we go, putting the sprue back in. It doesn't go in there very well, and it's bad. And it ended up breaking out sand. You'll see here in a little bit. When I push it through, a bunch of sand gets broken out like right there. See, rookie mistake. And all of this is because I did the first thing wrong is I went ahead and tried to cast this thing in the cope. I should have done it face down. If I had done it face down in the drag, none of this, I wouldn't have to be doing this right now. I wouldn't be doing a false drag. The lettering, that lettering right there that you can see, would have been formed on the cope side of the mold. But yeah, now that I put that sprue back in there so I could properly locate the runner and the spin trap. And I'm just going to try to repair some of the damage that I did when I shoved that thing back in there. We're just going to pack some sand in and get us a reasonably flat surface on our cope. It really doesn't matter over here. It's not really part of the pattern or anything like that, so it's not going to affect anything terrible. But you dummy. Okay, I've got the cope all repaired. Now we'll go ahead and put the drag back on and get it all rammed up again. All right, so I'll pull this sprue one more time. I want to take a second here just to I hope you guys notice this. I am trying not to have any mid-roll ads placed in this video. It has been incredibly annoying to me to have to deal with like 100 mid-rolls in videos I'm watching. It's just, I guess YouTube is trying to keep up the revenue or whatever, but I'll tell you what, it's irritating as all get out. So I'm going to try to turn them off for this video, and I hope you appreciate it. All right, here's something else that I've seen over on Clark's channel. I've actually seen it on a couple other guys' channels as well. This idea of kind of a wrapping tool to wrap a screw that's down in a pattern to loosen it up a little bit. It's kind of a fork shaped thing. I've got a pattern already printed up, and I plan on casting one here shortly. I just got to get it done. As it is, I'm using various things. I'm using wooden dowels and steel rods and things. Steel rod works pretty well, but I think I want to have one that can do it on both sides. And the other thing is, I want to have a tool that actually, if you look over at Hillside Foundry at Clark's thing, he's got a screw welded on the end of a rod, so that he can actually screw that thing in there with his hand, and then he can hold down with down pressure on the rod and tap the rod at the same time. So it's a brilliant idea. I got to weld me a screw on the end of a rod. I just have to get that done. Here I'm trying to tap this thing gently with the mold sitting up on its edge. I'm eventually going to put it back down on its back and tap this thing a little more firmly, because I'm never going to get this piece out of here. And what I should have done with this, I should have put 1% draft on it. I could have ground or sanded off a 1% angle, and even that would have helped me. With 0% draft, this thing just was stuck in there like glue. And I kept wrapping it and wrapping it and wrapping it. I thought I had it moving, but apparently I didn't, because it was tight. The other thing I should have done, it doesn't look too bad here, but I probably should have, maybe not, maybe it's okay. I probably should have, I don't know, I can't remember now. I should have probably coked down a little bit around this pattern so that there wasn't an edge up close to the surface of the pattern. The edge of the sand would have been down below. I think I might have had less breakout, because when you see when I get this thing out of here finally, tons of breakout. And really, I tried. I mean, I put it back down there. I pressed stuff down with my hand here. You can see it all the way around. I think I did. But even still, pulling that straight surface up out of the sand, it's dragging on the sand the entire way. Yeah, no good. You see me trying to fix it there again. I should have wrapped it harder. That would have probably helped. If I'd had a wrapping tool, that would have helped. But any amount of draft would have helped me here. And yeah, see, I just had all kinds of breakout. And I'm going to have to spend a ton of time when it comes to finishing, getting rid of all that breakout, because it's just going to all turn into a big flash when I cast it. So back to how wonderful my sand was. You can see on the pattern there, actually where the inside of the heart is. The face looks great. I mean, the sand just looks beautiful in there. And when we pour it, you'll see it. Really nice finish on the part. Okay, I think we've got it ready to go here. There was just way too much mold handling here. Too many times having to take it apart for no reason, put it back together again. All those were big mistakes. Now, at least I didn't lose my muscle memory when it came to pouring. I actually got the pour pretty good here. I kept it full, nice clean pour, no turbulence. So I didn't lose that. I may have lost my mind, but I didn't lose the muscle memory. Didn't have a lot come up through the vent there, which had me a little bit concerned. But as you'll see, it actually filled. Get it opened up and see how it looks here. I'm pretty happy there. I see everything went. And I'm thinking, yep, it looked like it filled pretty good. But look at all that flash. Yeah, no bueno. No bueno at all. It actually looks pretty darn good, despite the fact that it's hideous. The surface is good. Now I'm going to end up sanding and polishing this thing. That was my intent from the beginning, was to polish it. But it's really not, it's not bad. I mean, it's really got a pretty good surface on it, pretty clean, except for the fact that it's got, you know, that junk all over it. And here's the other thing I didn't do. These two spots right here, these are the holes in the back of the pattern that I put screws into, and I used to pull the screw out, the pattern out with. So I'm going to have to deal with those somehow. They're probably just going to get sanded smooth as best I can, and then polished around, and we're going to have to call it good. It's really it's really more about the entire piece sitting on a desk like that, right? So let me go ahead and get this thing cleaned up, and I'll bring it back to you. It's basically going to be cut this off with a hacksaw, clean this stuff up with, I don't know what I'm going to do. I may take a rasp to it. I may just put it on my sander. I don't know. That's all pretty bad stuff there, so I got to deal with that. I'll bring it back and show you the finished thing. Yeah, I mean, multiple mistakes, right? I didn't feed it. I didn't knock the sand away from the edge when I was cleaning things up. I mean, I had a lot of breakout, a lot of grinding to do. Because I didn't feed it, I ended up with a bunch of shrink in the face that you haven't seen yet. But here it is. Here's the finished product. I went and polished it, trying to make it look nicer. And it actually does sit. I won't do it this way because I'll drop it for sure. But it does sit there. I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer and show you a couple of things that aren't so hot. Okay, so you can see the backside here. I didn't really sand or polish this too much. I did polish a little bit, but I didn't really sand it. The lettering isn't real whippy. The logo, I put the brand up here. The letters are so tiny that they just didn't hang in the sand. The other thing is, you'll see in here, if you look at it real close, along here, you'll see it's kind of pitty, and a lot of that's because of the shrinkage that occurred. I had shrinkage all along this face because I cast it this direction up, and you know, the bottom came out flat, great, but it just shrunk down like you would expect it to do. So if I were to do this over again, I would do a couple of things differently. When I wouldn't try to put this tiny lettering in, that was just craziness on my part. Two is I would cast it in the cope like so, cast it in the drag like so. With this being exposed at the top of the cope, or top of the drag, I am so hung up on casting in the cope. Cast it in the drag with this exposed at the top of the drag, and then I would feed it on the backside up through the cope, okay? Then I could cut those feeders off the backside of the thing. It wouldn't have shrunk in here, or it would have shrunk a lot less anyway, and we would have been in better shape. So let me back up here again, and we'll finish. So, I didn't need to really do that, did I? Anyway, that's it. I hope my daughter likes it. She'll get it tomorrow. It's not perfect, and I hate it when it's not perfect. So, I hope she likes it. Anyway, that's it. Hopefully we're going to get back to casting. I got my taxes done yesterday, so it's been a big burden off. That's a big burden off my shoulders. Now I just got to pay the huge bill. But at least they're done. I've sent them off to my tax site to finish them, so I can start focusing on fun things. Yeah, you guys have a great day, and as I've been saying, be a blessing to somebody.